Hi, Libra Sun and Rising. Welcome to your August 2023 Astro Update. It's Raina here. August is significant because we have a couple of full moons, but that means that the second one is a blue moon. We also have a couple of retrogrades that are going to happen. And so on the first of the month, we have a full moon at 9 degrees of Aquarius. Aquarius is a fellow air sign. And this is going to be in your fifth house. So the full moon time can be very fertile, and given that this is the house of love and creativity, you can imagine this is also the house of children, including conceiving children. So it could be conceiving a creative project, but actually conceiving children. And this is a time when there might be a discovery that is made that is connected to you and love. You know, someone that is a platonic friend is realized as the love of your life. I'm not saying that this is going to be true 100% of the time, but just the kind of things that can happen, you know, falling in love, what we call. I remember this one time I was at a poetry reading, and this one man read a poem, and he said, "Don't fall in love, rise in love." And I always thought that was interesting. So that could be a very romantic time. Of course, full moons can bring something to completion, so you could be letting go of your feelings for someone that may, you know, that might be actually a good thing if you have been pining away for someone, and actually, since this is the period of your ruler Venus is retrograding during this time in the opposite sign of Leo, so that could certainly indicate that there is some kind of past love coming back. Now, the retrograde is occurring in your 11th house, which is a house of more of friendships. But of course, sometimes friends can become lovers, and I think that that's in the best case scenario, that's what happens. So, and actually on the 16th, there's a new moon at 23 degrees of Leo. 23 is a lion's number, a royal number. And this is happening in that social 11th house. So, because you have a new moon here, this can involve a lot of people that you are starting to deal with or socialize with, maybe new groups that you're belonging to. Libra is a very social sign in general. Of course, there's always going to be those Libra sun signs that have their sun in the 12th house. You know, the outliers, or maybe their sun in the 8th house or something. And they're more on the internal level. They don't really like socializing that much, but the typical Libra person is totally like that. And so that could include people that you are, you know, kind of on a platonic level. And another thing that is happening is that, or that's connected to this Venus retrograde, is that the 11th house is a house of gains. So it has to do with your business, your career, and Venus retrograde, because Venus is a benefic planet, I feel like even when it's retrograding, it can work for you. And so you can find that you are earning money through, maybe you're finding an old way to gain money that you kind of kicked to the curb for some reason. And maybe now the timing is better. There's some difference that's going to make you be able to gain, because Venus can be about money. On the 23rd, the sun goes into Virgo and Mercury goes retrograde. So number 23, I'm noticing this number. Of course, we're in the year 2023, and the 23rd is when the sun goes into Virgo. That doesn't happen every year. Not that that's like earth-shatteringly significant, but it's just interesting. And Mercury goes retrograde on the same day. Also, we're going to have Uranus retrograding at 23 degrees 5 days later. But anyway, talking about this sun going into Virgo, this is your 12th house. So this is really your hibernation period until late September when the sun goes into your sign. So for the next month, this might be a time when you're feeling a little bit more introverted or just contemplative, although this is going to depend on, your individual chart when this is going to actually manifest. And because there was a new moon in that 11th house, that might modify some of these influences. But anyway, on the same day Mercury goes retrograde in the 12th house, this is like a great time for meditation, because Mercury in the 12th, as it is a place where the mind is not operating from a rational perspective. And as a Libra, you're represented by the intellect. So the thing with you is to be more rational, and this is irrational. But I'm not saying that in a bad way, because it can be very intuitive. But just this idea of, with Mercury retrograding, it can even be a time when some of you have the urge to get a past life regression, because the 12th house can be, past lives, karma, and things like that. And even hypnosis. I really attach hypnosis to the 8th house, to Scorpio's domain, but with Pisces, definitely, because it does deal with other incarnations, other spiritual states, I could see that as well. And even like something like plant medicine, like ayahuasca, the Pisces is ruled by Neptune, and Neptune can be drugs. Of course, these are not considered party drugs like ayahuasca. That's why they're called plant medicines. But I don't say this to endorse it. I've never taken it, and I cannot foresee a time when I would ever do so. That's not my thing. I was going to say that's not my trip, pardon the pun, because there's nothing that is completely without risk, and I don't think that it's necessary. It might be too intense, too sudden, but some people feel called to it, so what can I say? I just am trying to be inclusive, and it can just be like kind of like doing some soul searching, where you're really analyzing yourself and some of the things that you tend to do that may be of a self-destructive nature. I don't think of Libra individuals as the classic self-destructive types of people, but anybody can be. And sometimes it's not so much with substance abuse, which can be the 12th house, some addiction, but maybe it's an addiction to a person. Maybe it's an addiction to, maybe it's a behavior like with, I think about Libra, is people pleasing to the nth degree, or feeling like, oh my gosh, I need somebody to approve of me. I had somebody write to me on YouTube and saying, I don't think that Libra people are like that. And what I said is that every sign is an archetype. If you don't believe that in the archetypes of the zodiac signs, then what are you doing even getting into astrology in the first place? And there's no point, because you're going to see everything as a stereotype, and you're going to feel threatened if your sign is criticized in any way. And it's not really criticism, it's pointing out the strengths and weaknesses of each sign. And so I can totally understand if people don't like to be pigeonholed, but that's the whole point of astrology. And we also look at other influences. Sorry, I'm outside. So I don't understand why people say these things to me. It's kind of humorous, but on the other hand, it's a little bit exasperating. But anyway, so on the 28th, Uranus goes retrograde at 23 degrees of Taurus. For you, this is the 8th house. This is a very intense area, and this is the house of regeneration. It's the house of death, but the house of regeneration. And Uranus here, but also the house of shared resources. So if you are dealing with any, yeah, that's right, because We have Jupiter in this house. So there's every possibility that you will be blessed with some kind of inheritance or money that is shared with other people. So it could be like if you're going through a divorce, if your partner is like cleaning up, maybe they're getting an inheritance and you benefit by association. Any of that is featured. But with Uranus, there's this kind of a curveball, kind of this loose cannon effect. And this is even more so when Uranus is retrograde. So I would also, I don't know if this is correct or kosher, I would include any kind of investments in this category because it's the money that you can bring to you that you are not making. So I think the fifth house is speculation, including like, gambling and stuff like that. But I would say the eighth house because since it's other people's money, if you're investing in a company, to me, that's benefiting from resources of other people too. So you might have a stock that splits and maybe it really or maybe it just does this wild ride, roller coaster ride where it goes high and low and things like that. And this can also deal with like spiritual experiences. The eighth house I think of as anything to do with the dead, with communicating with entities that have crossed over, like mediumship, channeling, that thing. But there's like that, Uranus is connected to the Kundalini. So to me, there's that awakening. Uranus is the awakener, which in and of itself can be indicative of that kind of loose cannon effect, where somebody is having this sudden experience. And people sometimes, if they're not careful, it can be like a form of madness, where they're really... it's uncontrolled. I mean, even people who are schizophrenic in the street, they may have spiritual gifts, but they are very, very uncontrolled. So it's looking like, insanity to the outside world, and it is on a certain level. So these kinds of things, Uranus can point to this spiritual awakening, and it may, like I said, it might kind of come in, a sudden burst. And you also have Mercury retrograde in the 12th house. So that's why when there's a Mercury retrograde, it's a great time in general for meditation because Mercury is connected to the mind. And so disciplining the mind and kind of going within, that's what retrogrades are all about, is featured. And you have it in the house where it's like the monk's house to have Mercury in the 12th house. So, and you also have the sun there. And then on the 30th or 31st, we have a blue moon at 7 degrees of Pisces. And so this is the 6th house. It's a very practical area for this full moon. And this is Virgo's domain in the universal chart. So this can be, for some people, ending a job. I mean, just deciding that you're done with something. It could be getting a promotion. And it's really funny because one time I said this same thing about a full moon, and somebody said, "Oh, so I'm either going to, get fired or get a promotion?" Like I just said completely opposite things. Well, yeah, sometimes it can manifest in different ways. Sometimes you may not even understand what has happened because nothing seems to have happened. So that's why I keep things so tentative, because we don't really know how it's going to manifest. And I would not want somebody to create a self-fulfilling prophecy if they're like terrified of losing their job. No. But you may find out something in the workplace. Like if you have been feeling kind of weird, like there's something going on behind the scenes, you may find out what that is. Like coworkers can be the 6th house. Your health can be the 6th house. You may feel this urge to purify at this time, like, whatever, makes you feel like you're cleaning out your system. And this is a blue moon, so there might be some kind of rarity connected to it for some reason. Like, it feels special in some way. Oh, yeah, and of course Saturn is in this sector. So that's an interesting one. Maybe you are getting a promotion, because Saturn in the 6th house can be that the person understands that they're going to have to work their butt off at this particular time. And if you're in your first Saturn return, so if you're around the age of 30, but you have to see if your natal Saturn is in Pisces to really, see if that's true. This can be a time when, and if it's in your 6th house, where it's like, in order to establish yourself, you're just going to have to bite the bullet and, work hard. It's not like forever, but it's kind of laying down the foundation, because that's kind of what Saturn represents. So I don't have the ephemeris in front of me, but I assume, I'm pretty. Saturn should be within orb, forming a conjunction with this, because it went retrograde in June, but I'm not quite sure what degree it's in right now. But you're like, because you are kind of reviewing what it is that you're putting so much into, like, you might say, hey, I'm not sure that this is the direction I want to go in. And that's great. You want to nip it in the bud as soon as possible. You don't want to put so much effort into something that you end up regretting it years down the line. The sooner the better. But Saturn is really about the reality check. And it's really like, hey, you can't just expect things to drop in your lap. You have to make some effort here. So, yeah, that's what I have for you, Libra. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, I'm promoting my double readings, and now I have a triple reading, because I changed my whole enchilada, which is like my natal chart interpretation, full-length readings for a special price. And this one is a really special price, because it's a lot cheaper, because each of these readings is an hour long. So it's natal chart interpretation, transits for the next 12 months, and then a full-length tarot reading. And that's for people who like it all. And if you bought those readings separately, you'd be paying like probably $165, and it's like you're saving, I think, like $40 or something along those lines. And then I have like just the chart reading and the natal chart interpretation. And the transits for the next 12 months, and that's called my deep dive reading. And then I have another reading I call a combo platter with the chart and the transits. So I got it all covered when it comes to package deals. And I have standalone readings as well. So you can find out more information at the link below. I'm at RainaMoonAstrology.com. Thank you for listening. Take care. Bye.